Soundwave TV. We are backstage in Soundwave Sydney with Ville from him. How are you today, Ville?
Getting there, slowly but surely.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely. Yeah, it's a long way to get to Australia from Helsinki, and still haven't slept properly.
Yeah.
I'll get there.
Yeah, you're getting a few
Sure.
shows in.
Yeah.
Kind of find the vibe.
Yeah, and I don't need the makeup anymore to look like a goth, you know. So
Yeah.
it's a bonus.
So do you share much of a history with many of the other bands on the tour at all?
Oh, I haven't had the time to really hang out yet. You know,
Yeah.
the whole festival just started, but we do know a couple of people. And on this particular festival, it's funny because a lot of bands share the same flights.
Yeah.
So there's always a gazillion people. And then I didn't know that Living Colour are playing as
Yeah.
well. And you know, I
You're
grew
a
up
fan?
with that stuff. Yeah, and they
Awesome,
sat
man.
just a couple of seats down from us and playing. And I'm like, those guys look so familiar. And, oh, well, that's Doug Wimbish and
Yeah.
stuff. You know, yeah, it's funny. So we get to meet him. It was nice meeting Will from Alice in Chains as well.
Yeah.
Last time around I saw him was at the Tabernacle in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, wow.
He came to see our gig like that was 6-7 years ago. So this particular festival is one of them that brings a lot of rock and rollers together. You know?
That's been one of the cool things where sort of a lot of the bands are kind of meeting their idols or bands that they really
Indeed.
connect with. Yeah.
And it's rare.
Yeah.
You know, to have a festival, especially this one, because it's traveling, so you get the opportunity of actually meeting new people, meeting people you haven't seen in ages, and actually you can carry on the conversation the next day as well.
Your music's pretty heartfelt and emotional, and you know, you kind of
Pretty
show...
heartfelt.
Yeah.
It's very heartfelt.
It's very heartfelt. I mean, you often kind of show the scars that maybe you've gained from a life of love and loss, and as you sort of move on with life and grow and develop, do you find your lyrics have sort of evolved and reflect your sort of current state of mind, or do you write sort of retrospectively?
Well, I tend to be a sucker for tragedy, so there's always something wistful and melancholy happening in life in general, but it's a very Scandinavian thing as well. I don't know why it is, but we do enjoy our music being very sad.
Yeah.
And through the sadness, it's like a cathartic thing. It seems to make us happier.
Yeah.
So the REM shiny happy people type of music, that makes me really sad and really depressed, and so it works in funny ways, you know. But as a lot of rock bands, and especially harder rock bands, they say music is cathartic, you know, through the aggression and through all that stuff, you get rid of some of the stuff that causes troubles in your everyday life. So,
So cultivating sorrow almost as a way to kind of, you know, in a joyous way.
Yeah, the flowers are very pretty.
Yeah. You said when you started out, the really religious people thought you were satanic, and the satanic people thought you were just sort of playing around, so you didn't really know you belonged. How do you feel about the sort of issue now, 20 years later, after, you know, the church has sort of been run?
Oh, well, it was a funny time to be around. I remember, I was a huge fan of Impaled Nazarene, and at that time they were against all the church burning people, and then the church burning. There was like a big, like there was talk of this like satanic terrorism and the Black Circle or whatnot, which was more or less just poo, you know. So it's kind of funny, and then now, you know, within these past couple of years, I've been able to meet some of the people that were really influential in that church burning thing. Not personally, you know, burning the churches, but in that scene, like people from Emperor or whatever. And it's funny to understand that they were kids when they were like playing the music. They were 17 years old or whatever, creating the records that for some reason created this big aura of evil around the world, and it still carries.
It's resonant, yeah.
Yeah, it still resonates, you know. I think that's very cathartic, and then the church burning thing, you know, to me it feels a bit odd because, especially the ones in Norway, they hold a lot of, you know, cultural importance, and then they're very different from the places than the, you know, the rest of the churches in Europe, for example. But you know, I've been joking about it that maybe they just had extremely cold winters and had to, you know, warm themselves up a bit.
It's pretty incredible, like the success of Dark Light in the States and stuff.
It's crazy, but it's one of those things that you're always so busy while doing it that you don't have the time to really reflect upon, you know, what just happened. So it was just one of those things. When somebody tells us that it's sold gold in America, and we're just, okay, what's next? You know, kind of a thing. It takes a while to realize that it's a big thing for, you know, the Finnish rock and roll, and like cool to be a part of it. You know,
what's the world of Finnish rock, and how do you sort of fit?
It's macabre and cold and depressed and very true to itself. It's not necessarily do goth, but you know, Finns are one of those that, you know, if there's, let's say there's one band that's very successful, in Finland you never have 20 other bands trying to do exactly the same thing. Everybody wants to do their own thing.
Make their own characters. And
yeah,
stuff. Yeah,
and that's,
you're a very distinctive band in that way. Yeah.
Well, you know, we're
really,
pretty good copying, yeah, and we've never like we never tried to claim that we have reinvented the wheel of rock and roll.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, we've always been proud to be the kind of like the torchbearers for Sabbath and Typhoon and Paradise Lost and Anathema and a lot of those bands. So
sort of weave them through your own.
We're part of that little cult. You know, it's always good to have a cult. You know. Yeah.
How do you get into the headspace?
Oh, by not thinking about it. You know, you don't. No. I think that's the magic. What we talked about earlier on. It's just like all of a sudden you're in a bath reading Baudelaire, and all of a sudden you start humming something. And you're like, well, is this a Van Halen song? No, it's not. It's actually something new. And then you have to record it down. And then you just get giddy, like a kid in a candy store. You know. Yeah.
Well, I look forward to hearing what you guys come up with.
Well, us too. You know, we can't wait either. Exactly. It could be terribly bad or terribly good, and that's the cool thing about it. Yeah. Roulette.
Yeah. Music. Yeah.
Yeah, musical Las Vegas.